Hey Hammers fans, before we get started, make sure to drop a like, leave your comment, and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any West Ham news. A recent story has caught the full attention of the Hammers fan base. This isn't just about rumors or multi-million-pound figures. The news involves a true battle behind the scenes, complete with backroom maneuvers, psychological pressure, and what many are calling the dark arts of football negotiations. According to reports from the English press, Nottingham Forest was so desperate to sign a West Ham player that they even tried to directly influence Hammers chairman David Sullivan, resorting to this kind of behind-the-scenes trickery. The goal was simple: to get ahead of West Ham and secure signings that were also on the London club's radar. This tug-of-war between West Ham and Forest didn't just start now. The two clubs had already clashed in other transfer pursuits earlier this summer, battling over names like Douglas Luiz and James McAtee, and the list didn't stop there. Forest also emerged as a rival in moves involving Songutu Magasa and even Brazilian goalkeeper John Victor. It became a real arm wrestle, with each club trying to show more strength, more speed, and more influence behind the curtains. That's where David Sullivan comes in. The West Ham chairman, despite being criticized by some supporters for what they consider weak transfer windows, has a reputation as a true master of negotiations. The very journalist who revealed the information made it clear if Nottingham Forest tried to play the so-called dark arts, Sullivan knows that game better than most. A recent example makes this crystal clear. When West Ham were interested in Botafogo goalkeeper Victor Sullivan used the talk strategically to put pressure on another club, Leicester, who were also at the table for keeper Mats Hermansen. He even went as far as temporarily suspending Victor's transfer, leaving the player awkwardly waiting at the airport. This move, seen as cold and calculating, showed just how far Sullivan is willing to go to gain an edge in negotiations. In the case of Magasa, who was also on Forest's radar, the battle was fierce. There were complications with the player's medical, which left fans uneasy and gave Nottingham the chance to try and swoop in. But in the end, West Ham prevailed. The deal was sealed for $17.3 million, and the young Frenchman is already being seen as an important part of the Hammers' midfield rebuild. The most interesting part of this story is how it shows that the transfer market goes far beyond official offers and club statements. There's an entire psychological game, a battle of influence, and even traps being set behind the scenes. Nottingham Forest tried to use that route to get the jump on West Ham, but Sullivan proved that despite the criticism, he remains one of the most experienced figures in this shadowy world. For Hammers fans, this episode underlines two key things. First, the club is very much active in the market, competing head-on for top talent and not settling for secondary targets. Second, even when rivals try to play dirty or rely on backroom tricks, West Ham can still stand firm and come out on top. In the end, Magasa pulled on the claret, and Blue and Nottingham were left empty-handed. But the episode serves as a warning. The Premier League isn't just a competition on the pitch, it's a constant battle off it. Those who don't know how to play the backroom game risk missing out on major opportunities. And in this game of shadows, David Sullivan has once again shown that, if necessary, he knows exactly how to wield those so-called dark arts in West Ham's favor. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Coach Graham Potter is living through days of maximum tension. The British press is already talking about a real risk of dismissal, and big names like Jose Mourinho are beginning to appear as alternatives in case the leadership needs to change. In other words, the match against Nottingham Forest is not just another round of the Premier League. It is a game that could define the immediate future of the manager and even the course of West Ham's season. To make matters even more complicated, the opponent is anything but simple. Nottingham Forest have grown in recent years, investing heavily in reinforcements and already proving they can cause problems for any team in the league. Facing them away from home in a turbulent moment turns this clash into a true survival test for Potter and the entire West Ham squad. But in the midst of a storm, there are also signs of change. And perhaps that is exactly what the fans need, signs of renewal. The biggest expectation is for the debut of Matheus Fernandes, the reinforcement who arrived from Southampton after a long and expensive negotiation costing more than 40 million. His presence on the pitch in this very duel against Forest would be a clear message that West Ham are ready to reinvent themselves, betting on new pieces to change the midfield dynamic. Fernandes arrives with the label of a promising talent, but also with the responsibility of delivering quickly as the team desperately needs consistency. And he might not be the only change. The English press reports that there could be up to 4 alterations in the lineup to face Forest. In goal, for example, Mads Hermansen could reclaim his spot after inconsistent performances from Alphonse Areola. In defense, Max Kilman is expected to appear as an option to reinforce the backline alongside Agard and Mavropanos, while on the flanks, Aaron Wan-Bissaka may return to the starting field, replacing Kyle Walker-Peters. In midfield, beyond the debut of Matheus Fernandes, the expectation is that he could form a duo with Tomáš Souček taking the spot of Guido Rodriguez, who disappointed against Wolves by failing to make a single tackle during the match. It's a bold but necessary change, given that the team's defensive fragility has been one of the main problems in recent weeks. And what about the attack? Here the situation is also far from simple. Niklas Füllkrug, the high-profile signing expected to deliver goals, has yet to find his rhythm and could once again start on the bench. The tendency is for Callum Wilson to earn the starting role playing alongside Jared Bowen, while Lucas Paqueta should remain in midfield despite constant speculation about his future. The Brazilian continues to be a key piece, and his creativity could be decisive in what promises to be a tight and nervous encounter. The scenario is clear: a West Ham under pressure, a manager walking a tightrope, and a squad that needs to react immediately. Every detail matters. Every lineup decision could make the difference. And every player stepping onto the pitch will carry the weight of knowing that the season, and perhaps even the manager's job, is on the line. For the Hammers faithful, the anxiety is huge. Many are already calling for Potter's dismissal, while others believe he can still turn things around. But everyone agrees on one point: the team needs to win. And they need to win now. Another slip-up against Nottingham Forest could accelerate drastic changes in the coaching staff and bring even more turbulence behind the scenes. On the other hand, a convincing victory, with Matheus Fernandes shining on his debut and the changes taking effect, could mark the beginning of a turnaround. Football has a way of working like that. One magical night can change the entire narrative. That's why the match against Nottingham Forest is not just another fixture on the calendar. It is a decisive chapter in a story being written in real time. The question is, will Graham Potter withstand the pressure? Will Matheus Fernandes make an immediate impact on his debut? And will West Ham finally show strength on the pitch to chase away the ghosts of crisis? Hammer supporters wait anxiously, fully aware that this match could be a watershed moment. Either it lifts the season back up or plunges the club even deeper into crisis.